Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. If someone would ask you, when does the Pesach season begin? If you go to a Yiddish house, they're already cleaning weeks, perhaps even months, slowly, they're taking care of getting rid of the chametz in the house. It's not something that happens like this. Pesach arrives and that's when you start. You need to have the preparation before. Actually, the Gemara says, even halachically, the Gemara Masechet Pesachim says that concerning certain halachas, even by Rosh Hashanah Nami, the Gemara uses that expression. If a person leaves out of town, Rosh Hashanah time, and he knows that he's coming back during Pesach, even Rosh Hashanah, before he leaves the Rosh Hashanah time, he has to take care of his chametz. So the responsibilities of not having chametz is something which is very serious. So much so that the shear for the amount of chametz you're not allowed to have is different than any other isser. Usually it's kazayis, kageseves, kabeya. Over here, even a mashu chametz is a problem. It's prohibited. So therefore, and the chiyuvim start if you know that you're going to be away and come back during Pesach. As the Gemara says, it even starts Rosh Hashanah time, months in advance. Now, the halacha we know, there's the Alter Rebbe brings the Shulchan Aruch, the Gemara says that Shleishim Yom Lifnei Achag, that the halachas of the upcoming Yontif, usually you start discussing within 30 days of the Yontif. Shoyelim v'darshim, and then again, during the Yontif, there's another process where it was a takana to discuss Minyonei Shel Chag on each Yontif. But halachically, 30 days before the Yontif is the time you start preparing for the upcoming Yontif. Now, Pesach, in particular, has this, obviously, it has, from the three Yom Tovim that we deal with, you know the Pesach is the one that has many, many, many details. And sometimes it becomes very overwhelming. And there is 2 points I'd like to share with you about A, preparing in advance, and B, don't let it become overwhelming. So the first thing is, we know that Chazal tell us there are some mitzvahs that even though it's a mitzvah, but if it falls out to be on Shabbos, the Chachamim release the responsibility of doing the mitzvah. The famous one is Shofar and Rosh Hashanah is a mitzvah min haTorah. And if Rosh Hashanah, when Rosh Hashanah falls on a Shabbos, the Chachamim say, despite that the Torah says to blow the shofar, we are afraid that you're going to carry the shofar and ask a Rav and make sure you know the right sounds and walk with the shofar in Rosh Hashanah. So because of that chashash, they remove that mitzvah, the chiyuv of doing the mitzvah of shofar. So the question is, why don't we say the same thing for matzah? If Pesach falls out to be on Friday, on Shabbos, why aren't you worried that the shaila will happen and the person putting together the matzahs during the Seder won't find good matzahs, so find matzahs that are bent over, matzahs that have a bubble, or whatever it is, and they'll go ask a shaila. And if so, just like by shofar, the Chachamim released the responsibility of the chiyuv of the mitzvah, why wouldn't they do the same thing by the matzah? And there's many answers given to this question, but one of the nice answers is there's a difference between shofar and Rosh Hashanah and matzah and Pesach. Shofar and Rosh Hashanah, if push comes to shove, you're going to blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah without any preparation, without preparing it, blowing it, see how you know it. You'll come to Rosh Hashanah and things will be fine. So therefore, because you didn't prepare earlier, a question might happen and you're not sure. It comes to Pesach time, however, there is nobody that comes to Pesach. There are so many details in the baking of the matzah, from the size of the matzah to the shape of the matzah. If to make sure it's done in fast time, and make sure it was shmura either from the shas tchina or shas ktsira. So there are so many details going into the matzah. There is nobody that comes to the night of Pesach not knowing already which matzah he's using for the Pesach Seder and making sure it's fine. And that's because it is that way. There was no reason for the Chachamim to say, "Hey, I'm worried a shaila might happen. Let's cut out the mitzvah of matzah." Matzah and Pesach, the night of Pesach, needs so much detailed preparation that I'm sure you took care of any shaila that could have been before Pesach. So that's one of the answers is given. Yet, hearing that it's so many mitzvahs, it might be very overwhelming. Now, it's specifically by chametz that we have so many mitzvahs, because by chametz, chametz is, as I mentioned before, is unique, that it's asher b'kolshu. Why is chametz asher b'kolshu? So it says because chametz, the Radvaz says, chametz is symbolic to the Yetzer Hara, and a person is never allowed to let even an iota of the Yetzer Hara be part of you. Your job is to not even give an inch to the Yetzer Hara. So therefore, even the smallest thing of chametz, smallest crumb of chametz is an issue. And it's brought from Svarim that in Pesach in general, there are two. You could split the mitzvahs of Pesach in two. There is the mitzvah of Sur Meirah, which is staying away from chametz, no chametz, no chametz, no chametz, so much so that it's brought in Chassidish Svarim that people didn't even want to mention the word chametz. It's a no. And then there is the yes, all the good things that you have to do, the mitzvahs essays. And what's interesting about the night of Pesach, that most of the mitzvahs that we do in the night of Pesach, there is the dry letter of the law, and then there's the levels that you could do it better and better and better and better. For example, let's take the mitzvah of matzah, as mentioned before. I'll use this example for both, for matzah and for chametz. Chametz, you want to stay away from the Yetzer Hara. There is the basic sheer minimum how you stay away from the Yetzer Hara. Halachically, is by doing bittul, by nullifying the chametz, you're gone. You're pater. You got rid of it. But we're not happy with just bittul. We want more. We do bittul, we do bedika, we do mechira, we do a lot of things because we want to make sure. So there is the dry letter of the law, and then there is the better and better and better. The same in the positive mitzvahs of Pesach. For example, the matzah, of course, there is shmura matzah. Shmura matzah means you make sure that it didn't come in contact with water, any liquid. But there is shmura either from the grinding, shas tchina, or if you want, you could get shmura mishas ktsira, from when it was cut. So and everybody always looks to do better and better. Now, the reason why we are so strict is because we want to do it so good to make sure that to get rid of the Yetzer Hara in the slightest way, in the smallest way, we don't want to have any part of him. At the same time, we want to do the most positive, the Kiyum Aseh in the most positive way, in the most best way. But I want to share with you one more thought, and this might help not make this feel overwhelming. I saw a sefer that said about the mitzvah of the famous, not the mitzvah, the minhag that the Shabbos before Pesach is called Shabbos Hagadol. And the common reason is because it was a big nest that happened during that day, Yud Nisan. Lamakim Mitzrayim b'Pchereim. That's when the Mitzrayim started fighting amongst themselves. That's when the starting point of the nest of Golas Mitzrayim took place, because the fights broke out. Why are the Yidden tying down a shepsela by the bed? And they started, what's going on here? And it caused an uprising amongst them, and that's what led to Yetzias Mitzrayim. So this great nest is why we call it Shabbos Hagadol. So one of the Mefarshim said something very interesting. He says, I don't get it. This is a mitzvah that we were told to do, to tie down a shepsela by the bed, which is eventually going to be the Karban Pesach. It's one mitzvah. And that one mitzvah we call the special Shabbos Hagadol, the great Shabbos, for one mitzvah. You know, if you would have asked somebody like me and you, which Shabbos should be the greatest Shabbos? The Shabbos before Matan Torah. The Shabbos before Matan Torah, over there, we got a lot of mitzvahs. And it's a Shabbos before we're going to get Taryag mitzvahs. Why is that not called Shabbos Hagadol? Why specifically this Shabbos Hagadol is the one before Pesach? And when we only told one mitzvah. And one of the Mefarshim says a phenomenal thing. First of all, the Yidden in Mitzrayim at this moment were nothing special. They were so sunk into the tumas of Mitzrayim. If they would have stayed there a little longer, God forbid, they would have sunk into Mitzrayim. They would have been chapped with the Egyptians. Number one. Number two, and the Yidden by Matan Torah already were on a much higher level. That would, if Shabbos Hagadol would be called the Shabbos before Matan Torah, a person would think, when you're in a high level, when you're Oichle Haman, that's Gadol. But when you're deep in the Erd, and you're falling, and you're having yisrainus, and you're deep caught in with the Yetzer Hara, and I make a small movement, that's a big deal. That's nothing. Mistake number one. Mistake number two is a person might say, listen, when I have the whole Megillah, if I have the whole Torah, when I do many mitzvahs, that's gadol. When I do one mitzvah, what's one mitzvah? So this Sefer says a beautiful word. Shabbos HaGadol is specifically the Shabbos before Pesach, where the Yidden were very down then. They were very down, very tummy. And at the same time, they were only told to do one mitzvah. When a Yid that's down does one mitzvah, that's gadol. That's the true greatness.